As I said, I have to choose my words wisely. I practiced this in the mirror as I was brushing my teeth this morning. So let's hope I can do this in a way that gets my point across, but also doesn't get me in any trouble. And I was watching the game last night, and as I'm watching it, something clicked in my head. And what clicked in my head is that this team is going to be good, ... enough. You are going to get 1,000% from Malik Monk every day. You are going to get a Zach LaVine that is very motivated. You are going to get a DeMar DeRozan who wants to play some meaningful basketball before the sun sets on his career. You are going to get a Keegan Murray that is entering a leadership role on the team. You are going to get a Domantas Sabonis putting up numbers we haven't seen since Wilt Chamberlain and that dude in Denver, okay? With a coach with something to prove, and that is your starting lineup. That's what you're working with. The bench is the bench. Keon Ellis, your found money, we understand that. Where I think Kings fans, and as we talk to our capologist, Yossi, he wants to be on the show again. I'll have him on anytime. That was great information. We want him back on the show. But as we break down the Kings cap situation, whether or not they should go into the luxury tax, things like that, ultimately the question becomes, what exactly is it? And this is where I got to tiptoe here. What exactly is it that this ownership wants? Okay? Because you're dealing with a fan base that, relatively speaking, their expectations may not be as high. You are not the owner of the Boston Celtics. You are not the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers. You are not the owner of some of these teams with this championship pedigree, and that's what's expected year in, year out. So are you going to essentially use that to your advantage to a point where, look, this team has barely made the playoffs, okay? We already broke a over decade-long drought a couple years ago. All we got to do is get to the playoffs, and the fan base is going to be happy. We're going to get playoff revenue, and it's going to be honky-dory. That's a winning strategy for us. Deep down in their heart of hearts, I don't know this, but deep down in their heart of hearts, do they want to compete for a championship? And do they want to do what is necessary to compete for a championship? I believe we will figure out those answers very, very soon. You've made the decision. We don't want to rebuild. We want to retool. Okay, but why? Do you want to retool because you think who you have is good enough to win a championship? Or do you want to retool because you understand that this team is good enough for Sacramentans to have hope, to light the beam and get the beam sponsored and put butts in the seats and get that revenue from a team that maybe could get hot? But are you willing to do the work and take it to the next level to be a true championship contender? Because Sacramentans are not stupid. They're not dumb. At some point here, and some of you are already there, at some point here, the conversation is going to become, okay, so are we actually going to try to compete for championships, or are we just happy being a 6 seed every single season? And look, we were really hard on De'Aaron to start the show. That's what De'Aaron was kind of speaking to. Now, De'Aaron also looked in the mirror and realized that it does start with me, and I don't know that I'm good enough to help get them there by myself or being a number one. But that, I believe, could vindicate how De'Aaron felt about this. This is the other side of it. We spent the beginning of the show talking about the De'Aaron side of it and De'Aaron looking in the mirror. But when I look at the opposite, and when I look at where this team is and what I fell into it, this is what they kind of want, right? They want us to see, you know what? We got Zach LaVine coming back. Malik Monk is going to take a leap. And even if they don't, this team is good enough to give you hope. Are they selling hope or are they selling a true championship contender? That is what we are going to figure out within the next couple months here. What they do at the first couple days. What they do as far as the trade deadline is concerned, what they do in this offseason. Because if you want to retool, that's fine. But are you retooling because you don't want to miss out on the hype that you built from the Beam Team season a couple years ago? You're not actually trying to build a championship contender. Now, two things can be true. De'Aaron, not generational, but also new. I think y'all are just okay with us fighting and clawing to get to that. Now, the Kings should be in a better position. Don't get me wrong. But I think y'all are just okay with us always being the dark horse, right? 5 seed, 6 seed, maybe a 4 seed, and maybe we get lucky. I think y'all are okay with the value being such where, hey, we're not paying luxury tax and look how our team is performing. We're never going to overpay. We are going to be in a situation where we're going to make money based on what we are paying, but we're not going to overpay and possibly lose out. Golden State Warriors, luxury tax. They paid for it, right? They're the 10 seed right now. The Clippers, they've paid for it. Never got a championship. So we're not going to be in that position. What we're going to be is a 4 to 8 seed. And one of these days, if the stars align, maybe we get something. But either way, we're always going to be in the conversation. We're always going to be competitive. And that is why the retool made more sense to this ownership group than a full-on rebuild, because they didn't want to miss out on the wave that they have right now. That is how I felt watching the game. And depending on what they do at this trade deadline and what they do these next couple months will tell me a lot about not just me, all Kings fans. Are you trying to just sell us hopium? Are you trying to sell us an idea when in reality, you're kind of just okay getting to the second round? Because based on what we're spending, we're making a lot of money. If you get to the second round and you're in the luxury tax, it don't hit the same. But you get to the second round and you're not in the luxury tax, right? And Malik Monk, you got a great deal in Malik Monk. Yeah, maybe slide overpay for Zach LaVine, slide overpay for DeMar DeRozan. I would say it's a pretty good contract out of Domantas Sabonis. You're not paying Keegan yet. Are they essentially, I don't want to say manipulating, but understanding that the expectations for Kings fans are such that they don't have to spend the money? I'm going to go to my relationship comparisons, Kyle. If you date someone and the person that you dated has been in some rough situations, we're not going to go into what those rough situations are, but some rough situations, right? And you start dating someone and you pay for their dinner. You get them flowers. And it's one thing to be happy about getting flowers, but it's just no one's ever done this for me. They start breaking down in tears, right? They start breaking down in tears, or you pay for their dinner or you send them some money for lunch. They start breaking down. And you say, whoa. Hey, I'm glad you like it, but it's not that big of a deal. No, you don't understand. Nobody has ever done this for me. So the expectation level is a little bit different. And that's what I found myself thinking about last night watching the game. Are we being sold a bill of goods? And at what point, as we have kind of put De'Aaron Fox in a certain light, and now we're going to do the other side in a certain light. Y'all know how I get down. I will talk about it all. So as we talk about De'Aaron Fox and him looking in the mirror, the Kings looking in the mirror and trying to figure out what exactly it is that they want to be. Because Kings fans are not dumb. And it's only going to take a little bit more time here. Not to say, look, you get into the dance, anything can happen. So the best thing to happen to the Sacramento Kings and to the league, I'd say, a couple years ago, the Lakers getting to the Western Conference Finals as a 7 seed, and last season, the Dallas Mavericks getting to the finals as a 5 seed. So you could sell it. You could sell it. How long will we buy it? That's the question. And we're going to find that out in a couple days, and we're going to find that out within the next couple months. On the other side, we get to your phone line. Seems like I might have hit